Hey guys, I am Skylar Skytana. Welcome to a brand new video. The new video on the new channel, update. As you probably saw from the title there, today we are talking about character maps. So, as I was reading this big ol' honkin' book here, of course, I told you, I was reading Stephen King's It here. As I started getting through the few chapters, I'm like, he's introducing a lot of characters very quickly, and I was having kind of a hard time keeping track. So I decided to make a character map to kind of keep them all together. So what is a character map exactly? So I first actually learned how to use a character map, not for like reading books or writing characters like I'm going to be talking about today, but actually in a play analysis class, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it. When you think about like Shakespeare plays, you know, how convoluted he likes to make those stories, it kind of helps to keep those characters and all of the relationships especially in check. So what are character maps, you might be asking? Well, like I hinted at before, it's keeping relationships, characters all kind of separated from each other there. Character maps can be used to like not only keep the important characters in order, but can also be used to help track the information about them as well, like the important relationships, as I said, with each other, and then the characteristics or personality traits that might stick out and help you remember the characters and differentiate them from help differentiate them from each other. Since I saw the old movie and not like the new double parter that just came out, I saw the old movie first before I started reading this book, before I even started reading giant books like this. This was like when I was a little tiny child. Why was someone letting their child watch a very spooky, very scary, probably why I'm now afraid of spiders movie? I don't know, but I'm kind of glad I did, because this is a really cool story. How he kind of goes back and forth between that, but that's not what I'm talking about now. Because I saw the movie first, I was able to already keep the characters apart from each other based on the physical traits that they had, and that was a big help on Stephen King's part too as well. Like with Bill is the one with the stutter, and then Ben was the one that was the fat one, or so on and so forth from that, you know. So keeping the physical traits, and then keeping that in the mind, and keeping the characters away from each other. So kind of with that, I have my own character map that I made. If you can make it however you want, whatever flows better with your mind. This is just how I did it. So I listed out all of the important characters that will be coming back, like the main group of people. We have Georgie, of course, who started off the story with being murdered to death for looking in a sewer. So I kind of have the important characteristics underneath each of those. Like with Stanley's, like he was the one who killed himself, so I'm gonna remember that, but he's also the one that might be made fun of by being a Jew, because he was. And then, like I said, Ben is the fat one, and then Richard was the one that was made fun of with his glasses. So those type of things are gonna be the ones that is going to help me remember which one is which. And then I also have what they do when they're older, in the older part of the story. So I'll remember, like, okay, Rich is the radio host, and then Bill is the writer, and so on and so forth. And then I kind of have two important the years to differentiate up there, because for some reason I kept forgetting when certain things were taking place. I'm like, so when was Georgie killed again, whatever? So the young parts are taking part in 1957 was when Georgie was killed, and then 1958 is when we're going to be spending most of the story. And then 1984 was when the gay was killed for being gay. It was the 80s. Why? But yeah, so that's going to be that first murder that kind of pops it back into place. And then 1985 is going to be when they all come back together again, when Mike starts to call everyone and it's like, it's back. So that's kind of my introduction to my character map for the reading that I'm doing so far. Like I said, I only made it 100 pages, and usually I don't really do a lot of character maps with my reading, only when I have a lot of characters to keep track of and a lot of other things to help keep track of that as well, like the characters, when they might die, because I know it's a Stephen King book, there's going to be a lot of death, and he's hinting at they're not coming back to their lives, which makes sense because it's a spider demon. So I'm kind of gonna be shifting to another type of way to be using character maps, and that's for something that I just started doing. Actually, no, I didn't just start doing. I've done it for a long time, ever since I started to take writing seriously, and that's creating character maps for writing. Now, I don't use the same type of maps that I do for writing when I do for reading, mainly because the characters for me are always a work in progress. They're always changing and shifting and growing with the story and what the story does to them throughout the writing process. So what I do instead is dedicate a page to a character, or maybe like a whole even a whole document if you're using a computer. I like to find pictures online that kind of remind me of what they might look like different types of like brown hair or clothing styles, or different like mood pictures or aesthetic things, just to help solidify, kind of get my brain to be thinking about these different things coming together and creating a character. Because for me, I have ideas of what the character looks like, but I can't really think it through until I see something like concrete. So I take all these little bits that I like and kind of just Frankenstein them together. So that kind of goes on the page with the character, I take all of those pictures and I conglomerate them together on to the character map to kind of help get my brain back and going into that. And then also on the character map, I would write down a few major personality traits, like being overconfident or shy, and I'd leave some space below each one of them, so that I can go back and flesh them out as I go when more things come out. Like, she might be shy, but she is outgoing when it comes to being nice or something like that. The map is also a good place to put down the character's past, the backstory to why they might be fighting crime or causing it. You can write it out entirely, if that helps, because sometimes I like to do that, like just write out like a paragraph of what happened in their backstory, or you could just like bullet it out, like bad guy breaks in, kills mom, steals sister, leaves scars so they'll always remember what happened, or something like that. So you could like write it out entirely or bullet it out, just so that you have it down. Having all of the information, all of the important information in one place, and more importantly, out of your head, helps when you run into a plot point, and you're wondering how the character would react to this type of situation that you made up. And then being able to pull all of this information up and having it out beside you while you're working on that, it's really helpful, and it doesn't waste any of your time just sitting here thinking and like trying to pull that one piece of information that you had thought of like months ago out of your head. Like, I remember that they were something, and then you like sit there thinking, trying to think, because believe me, it will not be there. So having it out, putting everything down and kind of cementing it, getting it out, getting it on, is a good thing, and having it all in one place for that character map, very good. So that was kind of a I'm gonna call it like a diet episode, and to kind of just a little update of where I am in the reading process. And I started making the map. I'm like, this is a good thing to kind of tell people about, because it's really hard sometimes when you're reading and you're getting overwhelmed with characters. I know before I was like too stubborn to take notes while I was reading. This was, of course, before I started going to school for reading, like going to college, and learning to take notes on reading helped so much, because I would just be reading and I would forget who someone was. I'm like, you're important, but I'm too lazy to go back and remember who you are, so none of this makes any sense. So just having a way to help keep things organized is very helpful. So like I said, there's all different sorts of ways that you can create a character map. You could create them through lists. You could do like bubble webs and draw lines. You could do like a page for each person, like I said, with their writing way. And you could just like not use it if you don't want to. Like I said, I used to not do that ever, until just recently. And I usually don't. Like, I didn't do this for the last book I read, The Handmaid's Tale, because I didn't have to. It was just a linear, I don't know why I said linear. It was just a linear path that didn't introduce a lot of people, and then when they did introduce them, it would be kind of like a passing glance, or they would keep popping up, so I would always remember who they were. But for some reason, when I started reading this, and I got to the, I think, second part in the second chapter, I'm like, this is a lot of information, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it together. So I made my character map, and now I am passing that information on to you to try to help with your reading as well. It also helps with reading comprehension, and because if you write down information and facts about each of the characters, it helps you learn them more, and I guess it helps you be able to understand the story a little bit more. So that's kind of just my tips and tricks to using character maps for reading and writing. If you guys enjoyed, please hit that like button down below. Still not sure what it does, but it'll make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And then if you want to subscribe for more tips, tricks, writing, or reading styles, then please hit that subscribe button down below. And again, I will be streaming on Twitch for my video games this weekend, Sunday. My Twitch is twitch.tv/Skyton. I'll have that down in the description below as well. And I think I hit everything. Yeah, I still don't have an intro or an outro, so whatever. It is what it is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.